Hi, everybody. My name is Matthew Cayley with Realize It, obviously. I just want to take one of my 8 minutes to thank everybody for coming. The commitment, the time and energy spent in this room is what's going to push the needle. So the conversations that are taking place here, the information you bring back to the institution, potentially everyone becoming champions for innovation, that's going to help. That's going to help push the needle at the institution. It's going to help us get greater understanding of what we can do to support initiatives on campus and draw people out of silos so that we can really work on a solution that scales across the institution. So again, I wanted to thank you for that. And I'm a Florida resident too, and I've worked with almost every institution in the state on assessing student learning outcomes, program learning outcomes, institutional outcomes. So I've been invested in this state's success for a long time. So in terms of my presentation, I realized last night that I'm very much a student in many ways. So I tore up my presentation completely and reflected, and as I started getting an understanding of where everybody's at in adaptive and personalized learning, certainly took some cues from Dale and Tom and other folks that I talked to out in the exhibit area to get an understanding of what they know, what they don't know, where their thinking is at, and where they'd like to go. The other way I'm like a student is plagiarism. So I took some shots of what Tom had to say yesterday because what Dale had to say yesterday, because I think that perspective was very important to start the conversation. And with that, I'm going to make another bold statement and just talk about, the 3 R's, the 3 M's, the comparison between us and an LMS, what's adaptive, what truly makes it adaptive. And the statement I'm going to make is that we really check all those boxes. And it's easy for me to make that statement, and I'll do it all day out in the hallway if you like, but I really recommend you talk to UCF. They've got essentially their whole team here, including research folks. So I implore you to talk to them about their experience, their successes, and certainly I can share with you the rest of our community and how Realize It has been a true partner as they move towards achieving their goals. And those goals are certainly around retention, student success, graduation rates, engagement. And we've got the data to support that, and my old PowerPoint definitely had that information in there. So beyond kind of checking all the boxes and all the things that we do, I just want to give you a little peek into kind of the interface and how we are leveraging it to work with our institutions and our students. So the first thing you see is the student experience. And that could be through your LMS, through any number of APIs. So we're really focused on meeting that student exactly where that learning needs to take place. So this might be the portal in which they come in. They may have a series of courses in front of them, and they can just begin their work. They also have real-time snapshot dashboards of where they are in terms of progress and completing the different learning objectives at different topics. As they go in, this is where we really get into that student engagement and the student agency. They have a learning map, so they can come in and understand where they are at in the entire course or the entire module. They've got that quick snapshot, yellow representing a certain level of mastery, green, mastery, red, beginning, need help. So as a student, I know where I'm at right now. I can look forward and see what do I need to learn. And through the predictive analytics, through the algorithms in the system, based on the knowledge state, based on what we've learned about that student in the system, the system will automatically upgrade itself in real time to, again, give that student the snapshot. The student also has the ability to look back, see what they have accomplished, go back in and practice some more. So it gives that student really control over their learning and the full snapshot of what they have ahead. And then when we move into the faculty have a similar line of sight. They, again, can see in an aggregate with the ability to drill down, they can see how are all my students performing on these different topics, nodes, assignments. It really could be at any level. And again, they have the ability to drill in, see that only 10 out of 26 students have completed this particular learning objective. Let me understand what's going on. So they can click on an individual student, they can look at all the students in the aggregate and get an appreciation for where they're at, where they're struggling. Is it the content? Provide a real intervention, real-time mediation, real-time feedback, and just kind of give you a snapshot of some of the insights. So again, the analytics are there at a really granular level. So at a question level, is a student, if the students are struggling, we can then drill in and see how much time they're spending on that question. Is it the content? You can evaluate the content and determine that the student's not really learning that well from that textbook, from that chapter. Let's deliver alternative means of communicating with that student. So maybe you're sending a video in, and then you can do a comparison between how students are learning across the classroom. And then in the adaptive component of the system, if the student is struggling through some type of content, some type of questions, the system will automatically send that alternative content, or ask a different set of questions, or deliver content from their prior knowledge that can reinforce that skill to keep them moving forward. So it's not about pushing the student backward, it's about meeting the student right where they are, understanding what they know and don't know, and keep helping that student progress forward. And obviously that doesn't happen without faculty. You have the ability to intervene at any time. Students themselves have the ability to provide feedback, all the way down to the level of if a student is able to find a video on Google, for instance, or YouTube that's helped them learn that particular topic a little bit better than what you delivered, they can actually share that back up the chain to instructional design, to faculty, so that that's something that gives you, as a teacher, as an institution, the ability to adapt in real time as well. And you can create multiple versions of courses and make real-time changes in terms of content management. And that all can build up to, when you're using us at scale, we've got this target knowledge map that's in the system. And this really isn't exposed to faculty and students unless that's something you want to share with them. So this is kind of behind the curtain, the engine that kind of makes it work. You have the ability to connect all these learning objectives, connect the entire curriculum together so that that prior knowledge, those previous skills and abilities that they've demonstrated at a lower level course, they have the ability to connect that to the upper division courses to reinforce that skill. So again, that ability to connect the entire network of learning together across the entire curriculum. And we've got, one example is a 4-year engineering program that has entire, and they're actually competency-based. They have an entire curriculum. They realize it, student comes in, they understand what they need to learn. They can go ahead and skip around based on what they know coming into the program. So again, it gives student control, and it gives everybody an appreciation, understanding of what's next and what they've accomplished. And then just to spend a few moments on what separates us from others. We talked a lot about some of the tools that ASU is using, and hopefully we get a chance to work with them in the future. But what really sets Realize it apart is that it is faculty tested and student approved. So we've had over 800 faculty and growing in the system, over 1 million course takers in the system, and growing, obviously. So we've got a wealth of feedback, understanding. We spend time on campus getting feedback from students and faculty, and continue to grow, build a system out. It's about mastery of learning, and not our definition of mastery of learning, but yours. So at a course, learning module, program level, you're able to define what your level of mastery is, and the system will keep measuring that student against that. Versatility gives, again, the ability for us to work with individual faculty, courses, programs, the entire university, to start this process for students coming into the institution to understand where they're at so that we can provide instant remediation to get them prepared for their next set of courses. And it connects all the way through to potentially employers as well, so they can give students an understanding of what they expect them to know in order to be proficient at this particular career. Scale, again, we've got universities who are working, started with 3 courses a couple of years ago and now have hundreds of courses in the system, hundreds of faculty members. So we have that ability, especially the fact that we're content agnostic and subject agnostic. We have that ability to scale in all different directions. And with that, we have the community of practice. We have that ability to kind of work in partnership with institutions to build that community of practice. We have an annual summit. We're obviously at all these conferences, and we're really every day spending time to understand how we can better connect the community so that we can give you a starting point, or your partners can really give you a starting point, and then you can run with it from there. The hardest thing about technology, and I've done it at large scale, is that change management and where to start and how to start. And I think every day we're getting closer and closer to help institutions close that gap. So, when we really talk to institutions, the things that they're kind of the 4 main things that we focus on and want to get an appreciation for how the institution is thinking, or the course, or the faculty member, or the program, is if these 4 things are important to you, we want to talk to you, right? And it's control of the content and data. Your ability as a faculty member as an institution, as a program, to build your own courses, to have control of that content. You know your students on your campus better than we ever could, or a publisher could, and really anybody, right? So you have the ability to build that content, then have ownership of that content, of that course, at a faculty level and an institution level. And certainly that data is available, rich analytics, predictive analytics, that's all available to you real time. So back to that line of sight as an individual faculty member, instructional design, administration, student success folks, you have a line of sight into student performance, course performance, content performance, so you can see all that in real time. And we've got researchers on staff that help you kind of distill some of that data so you can really put a package together to tell a meaningful story. And talking about implementation and support, so we've got professional services that we offer that's really part of every implementation, and that's course design folks, operational, strategy, development. So we've got a rich staff with a diverse set of skills, so that by no means are you alone in this. We're very much your Sherpa in this process, and we're highly invested in your success, and we'll put all the resources imaginable in front of that. And again, you can talk to our partners such as UCF, and I hope they would reinforce that. And then talking about impacting students learning at all levels, again, it's the fact that you can measure a student anywhere where you expect learning to take place. It doesn't have to necessarily be in the course. It could be program-wide. It could be just an activity. It could be a pretest, really an application to determine whether they should be allowed into their major or allowed into the program. So that versatility, that flexibility to work with you, to identify you as an individual institution with individual needs, and adapt and create a system that's designed and will feel like your own very system. That's really it. I wanted to leave some time for talking, again, for any questions. The only other slide I have up here is on our website. You'll have access to some videos, testimonials, but you also have access to white pages and articles and research that UCF has done. So I hope you'll visit the website and download some of the information. It's the research that our partners have done, and I certainly commend them in their commitment to doing that as well. Any questions? No, sorry, please.
Did you just say that you can test for like a pre-professional program, that you have that, and then where does what does the test consist of, or does it come from we, the faculty, that tell you the way that we would like to test for a pre-professional program?
The latter. So we work closely with faculty. We have staff. We have professional development folks on staff that, if you need some expertise and some analysis of your learning objectives and tying the questions to the content or what have you, we have that staff. But yes, we are working with the institution closely for them to develop that. That goes back to that ownership. It'd be you'd have ownership of that module, that course, that activity.
So does anybody that you could refer me to already do it to sort of recruit students, not just eliminate students?
It's a good question. Off the top of my mind, I'll think about it offline, but off the top of my mind, I don't think of a use case where they're using it for recruitment purposes. It's more, we want to understand where you're at right now and determine whether we need to remediate or intervene before we put you in a class that we know you won't succeed in. But that's certainly definitely an interesting use case, and it's about workflow. So if there's a workflow where you want to kind of evaluate a student, I mean, there's no reason why that wouldn't work. But I'm happy to talk to you about that. Thank you for the question. Any other questions? And again, I'll be outside. I'd be happy to go a little bit deeper into a demo today or offline. Okay, thank you.